Hello internet friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lindsay. If you're new here, hey, what up? Welcome to my weird internet space where we talk about things regarding the brain, human understanding. If you would like to book time with me, talk about these things further, my link for Snug is down below. So today we're going to be talking about the epidemic of you should. Why should we do anything? What is the best way to convey your thoughts, opinions, critique on the way someone should do something so that your energy is well spent and that their energy is well spent receiving it and possibly even implementing it? Every action that we complete, every phrase of time are moments of these coins that are being taken out of our life account and deposited on behalf of something else. And I see time deposits as the most valuable thing because we never get them back. We invest into our human experience to hopefully make it worth something to us and hopefully also make it worth something to others as well. That being said, I've always found it fascinating how people feel just so comfortable qualifying how they think someone else should spend their time and energy by statements such as, you should. All right, so let's start off with why people give you should statements. And I think the number one reason is to offer or to prove some sort of their own value. So if you were baking a cake and I saw the temperature of the oven and I thought it was too low, I may say, hey, you should raise your temperature of your oven up to 400 degrees. It's because I would be trying to offer value, insight into your cake baking experience. Now, that might be fine for this cake baking situation. However, the problem with these you should statements many times is trying to offer value without qualification or context. If I told you to turn up your oven to 400 degrees, yet I had never baked a cake before, but I eat lots of cake, am I qualified to tell you what temperature to cook your food at? I would say based on that context, no, because my qualification for understanding cake is that based off of a consumer, the consumer side of taking in cake. It's not on the baking, the creation side of the cake process. I may understand consumption, but not creation. However, if I was to tell you as a consumer of cake that I thought peach cake was actually one of the best and most underrated flavors of cake because of X, Y, and Z reasons, and compared to all the other cakes I had tried and experienced, that it was, simply just one of the best. Now, my perspective as essentially an expert in cake consumption, it has a higher value in terms of its context and qualification to the person who may be trying to decide, that they might want to try different cakes sometime. My perspective would then be more meaningful as it relates to the applied energy of the other person. But hold on, let's go back to the temperature of the cake again. Let's say that I've watched hundreds of videos on how to bake the perfect cake. And I had never baked one before, but you know what? I had done my research and I know the exact process for baking the most perfect cake. Am I then qualified to give my thoughts and my criticism on the temperature of the current baking? And this is where we get to the root of the problem, because without the context of your understanding, you are essentially devaluing the qualification of your criticism. And this is what I see as an epidemic as it relates to our own inability to be self-critical when offering criticism and our opinion. And I also see it as a distraction and a waste of energy towards what could be very valuable critical contributions that could push humanity forward versus just distract them with words that are not as powerful and as articulated and as meaningful as they could be regarding the context and the understanding. All right, and so to provide some further context to my point, here is a little excerpt from a study that was done in 2013 as it relates to our brains and receiving criticism. The findings showed that brain regions involved in emotion processing and social cognition were recruited during the processing of criticism, while default mode activity and higher order cognitive control functions were attuned. These results may suggest that the criticized person is attempting to understand the beliefs, perceptions, emotions, and goals of the critic in order to facilitate flexible and adaptive social behavior. And while I agree that the brain might be using those points to qualify flexibility and how to react socially in that situation, even more so, what I think our brains are doing is trying to qualify the viability of that person's perspective as it relates to that criticism. All right, so people's brains are attempting to understand the perception, the goal, the emotions, and the beliefs of the person who are telling them the criticism. What does that mean in terms of how we can convey our criticism and our perspectives in a better way so that people can more easily retain that concept? A study that was done in 2006 on criticism and interpretation said that, therefore, criticism cannot be grounded only in a text itself. Instead, it must be the result of applying some external framework to the text. And that's what I'm trying to get at here, is without the context and the qualification of the external framework, the external understanding as placed onto the subject, you're not giving any outside information as to why this is actually important over here as it relates to your subject. And now some people may say, oh, that's constructive criticism, but I really don't think it is because constructive criticism is all about essentially, making the person feel good, giving them some specifics about how something could be better. And that's all well and good, and things should be specific when you're, offering an opinion to help someone achieve something, but really there's far more to it than that, because if I'm not qualifying my basis of information of how it makes sense to me, why I am knowledgeable in this area, then the other person has very little reason to move forward with that, because who am I to say really anything? Who am I to tell you how to spend your time and energy? But qualification and context are what allow for a more effective communication of your criticism, your perspective, and your opinion. All right, so how do you provide contextual criticism to increase the value of your perspective? AKA, how do you give a better opinion? All right, so number one, state the belief of your perception. Right away, we're gonna knock two things off the other person's brain is going to be looking for as it relates to receiving criticism. Number two, articulate your possible goal. What are you trying to get at by saying this? What is the potential action the other person could make to change the situation? Number three, provide your reasoning. And number four, convey your qualification. All right, so just for the sake of an ending example, let's use a point of criticism that I, as well as many other YouTubers on the internet, get, which is you should look at the camera. Why? Why should I look at the camera? A better option might be looking at the camera would improve the quality of your videos. When I'm looking at a video and someone is looking directly at me, directly in the eyes, in the camera itself, I feel more connected to them. I am someone who watches over 40 hours of videos on YouTube every single week, and I find as though the ones where the person is looking directly at the camera are actually far more engaging to me. Wow, that's actually some qualification and context that I can have some authentic respect for. That actually is some reasoning that makes sense to me. And now that I'm able to understand your framework of where you're coming from, I may now be more willing to apply that understanding and put energy into making that change moving forward. So that's it for this video. Those are my thoughts on the epidemic of you should, which, I just think that you should do a little bit better. And this video is my qualification and context on that. So I'll see you guys in my next video. Have a wonderful day, evening, afternoon, whatever time it is. All right, bye.